And just like that, we're back for episode 6 of The Good, The Bad, and The Rugby South Africa. A lot to discuss. The Boks are, well, let's just say it, they've always been the best team in the world, but now solidified being the best team in the world with 2 back-to-back wins over the old foe, one in Joburg, one in Cape Town. We'll unpack that, plus a lot more. Gentlemen, wonderful to have you in the studio.
You can't say they are the best. Now they are. They weren't always.
Schala, number 1 in the hearts. Number 1 in the hearts. That's what it is. And you're going to have a tough time convincing me that they weren't always the best.
Yeah, as a kid, you're quite biased towards the Boks, I guess. But I must say there was some amazing Irish sides, amazing All Black sides. Oz even, well, it feels like
the good old days.
Yeah, the good old days with Joe Roth, George Gregan, Jeremy Paul.
The 2000 crowd was immense. From 99, I think 91 was when they first won it. I mean, thinking about like a Timmy Horan.
Yeah, Michael Leiner.
Michael Liners.
Proper ball players.
Yeah.
Bobs, you well?
Yeah, otherwise you are, eh? Look at me.
his outfit, boy.
Oh, boy. I'm a vulture out here. Yeah, no, it was one of those scenarios where I decided just to pull through. You know, a dude who wears white pants just means he's so confident that you can keep them clean for 2 minutes.
I don't know what you.
You spent a lot of time with your kids today.
I was with my kids.
See, I put a other shirt on.
I saw you put on.
Corporate.
Yeah.
Got rid of the corporate shirt.
Yeah, no, it's good too that you're supporting form.
Wonderful. Good to see. Tell me, gentlemen, I feel like the whole country is somewhat hungover after the last 2 weeks because it has been a party. Like, I mean, South Africans did not hold back. Talk to me about Cape Town. How was it? What's the vibe? What a stadium hosting the ABs at DHL Stadium for the first time.
Where did you sit?
Right in front of the media box. So I was in it. You know, you could feel jeepers, but that was special. Just the way that, I mean, from the showings, like the kids who came up and they did all of that color fading and showing colors and to the flags they were just so, Cape Town was on point. Cape Town was
Pre and post.
It was outstanding. Hard to get out of the bloody stadium. when you wanted to leave after that.
I think there's a couple of guys that struggled to get out.
It's like the cul-de-sac of Cape Town. Because when you're on the other side, the only way, there's like 2 ways out. So you're constantly going to be sitting in traffic when you're out to that side.
The point is you shouldn't be going home, then you should party.
Oh,
like
I was straight to my hotel room.
It's a lie. Firstly, I mean, that's a lie, Bobs. You probably told someone, hey, I'm trying to leave. I was stuck in traffic.
I went straight to my hotel room. It was the best time ever. I was just like, I don't know. It felt like it was a tour. I felt like as if I was jet lagged. The last 2 weeks was emotionally a roller coaster. Like every game was so intense and so involved. There was so much from the expectations from the country. The New Zealanders, the way that they came and brought their game. You know, you always get nervous when you're up against the All Blacks. And I think emotionally, I was done.
And especially in Cape Town.
In Cape Town, it was immense. Just the people, man. The love of the game has really transformed this country. It's somehow you meet people that never even cared about the game, asking me about the clip, about the audio guy diving off, asking me if it's such the real deal. It's Siya, it seems to be, you know what I mean? All of a sudden, there's such big interest. Like coming in from corporate to man on the street, just asking me about rugby. No one, you know, I'm the kind of guy who just walks around thinking that no one can see me, you know? I don't know.
Not in these guys.
Not in white pants, you know.
They will definitely know.
Looking like a third-man test fielder.
That is
like a burnt-out Chesterfield.
What is amazing is, for me, it's just the passion. And I think if I have to give it to the South Africans, like supporting the Boks, I think there's a lot of other teams that is extremely envious of the support we've got. I mean, just the way we get together, the way people are singing the national anthem from start to finish, the crowd. What I would say is this time they got it right. The there was extremely respectful with the haka. The national anthems rocked. It was just the vibe. I'm getting goosebumps as I'm sitting here. It was just such a special occasion. And then the boys brought it.
Yeah, and it doubled up the flights, and just crazy.
What
I was
day.
like, this is the only time you can never miss a flight. There's like two of them right on top of each other. It was a spectacle. I think they should be proud wherever the ones behind what Cape Town was over the weekend. It was such a spectacle. Everyone enjoyed it. Lots of people were still looking for tickets on the last day. And I think the prices did go up as the days were going closer to that Saturday. But what a time. I'm gobsmacked when I think about the performance of the players, like what they go through and how much, we were speaking about it just now, how much belief has so much to do with what this Springbok side is doing.
Is this the best Springbok team we've ever seen? The best Springbok squad?
Well, by country mile, the thing, well, I would say,
Wait, there was a squad Gary Tashman led that went in 17 test matches on the trot.
yeah, but the difference here,
I'm just saying, like, that is massive. I know, 17
But the
test
argument
matches.
is to be made to say, look, if you're going to go 17 on the bounce, that puts you in a very, very special spot. But we were looking at the box fixtures going into the end of the year. There's no reason. There's 2 tests against Argentina coming up. We've got Scotland and we've got England as big tests at the end of the year. There's no reason why this Bok group can't be 10 games on the bounce when we have Christmas.
guys, you're getting arrogant here, both of you.
I'm saying,
We might never lose.
How is it arrogant to say that this team, the team that went 17 tests in a row, is the team that should be spoken about in the same vein?
No, what I would say is if you look at the depth of our squad from 1 to 15 and the multiple positions and guys that haven't been playing now, it is scary the depth that's been created within the Springboks. What I would say from Rusty's perspective, what you've seen in Australia, what you've seen against New Zealand, and what you'll see against Argentina, he rotates like no other coach I've ever seen. He tries new things and he won't stop trying things. And that's why I say that might, in certain test matches, there isn't a goal to win 17 or 18 or 20 in a row. It is constantly, the focus of this team is constantly improving what they have, evolving, moving. And some days you will have bad days, but they all keep on trying new things that I love. The way with Chesney throwing in, I think
that was a special move.
What is amazing is not just the move itself, although Malcolm could have thrown it in, they did break out. But the thing is, what's happening is Rassie, the team, is in other coaches' mind. So everyone's like, "What the hell?"
But there was a necessity because of how the All Blacks were loading at the back of the lineup. You normally have three loose forwards blocking that, which is why Malcolm broke to the blind. But that was, for me, what was quite clever about that play, because they tried it at first without Cheslin there. But now, because the New Zealanders are competing on the ground, especially trying to make sure that they can't get the sit up the more, they made sure they had more numbers early before so they can beat them to the sort of push on the ground. And I thought that was clever so that they can create that opportunity into the blind.
Something that stood out for me from Ellis Park to Cape Town is there was a very clear Springbok footprint and blueprint of what we wanted to do and how we went about it. But 2 entirely different games, 2 largely different squads. Joburg required a mammoth effort to score points in the last 20 minutes because we had to get back into the game. There was this belief in the stadium that it's doable. I mean, there wasn't... In years gone by, the Boks 15 points back from the All Blacks at Ellis Park with 20 minutes to go. There'll be a couple of guys that say, listen, I want to beat the rush to get out of here. This is not the game you want to see. They come back. Cape Town, arguably the biggest arsenal weapon we have in our arsenal is our lineout. It's such a strong point for us to launch from. First 50-odd minutes, had a bit of issues with the lineout. But still, I mean, it looked like, okay, lineouts are scrappy. We'll just go to the next thing. There's something... How does that work? Put me in the player's mindset for that.
Well, firstly, if you take about this box size, how many points that they didn't take in the first half, but they had the opportunities to actually go for a post and they said no. let's go to corner. It's like almost the Bulls side of 2008, 9, 10
9, yeah.
there. So the belief is there, and they've got a specific plan that they're trying to execute on. What I would say is the belief in the side is unbelievable. I saw we took the point at the latter part of the game, but there's a couple of things if I look at the opposition, because you are just as good as your opposition is as well. Is there is a couple of points wasn't taken.
Yeah.
There was a chance when they kicked to the corner, didn't get points from there. Then they went for post and DMAC, as they call
Sorry,
it now,
man.
missed it. And that crucial part, if you miss the margins between the best sides in the world is so small. If you don't put that scoreboard pressure on, then you're gonna pay some or other way.
I think when I looked at it, so when it comes to attack, we talked about so many errors and all of that, and it's hard for a supporting player who normally has a different sort of when you have to adjust to a new attacking pattern. So most of the time, we all knew who was carrying the ball. Now, because of the fact that we are encouraged to carry the ball, so most of the time I could be running a supporting line, but with the old pattern, it was I'm a designated cleaner. So when those roles sort of switch up, I think the Springboks, what they're getting themselves into now is you have to just compete the role that you have to do for that certain time of the game instead of sort of being the designated cleaner and all of that. That's how we go beating those breakdowns, because constantly the guy was supporting overruns. Because if you don't have the ball, what is your next role? Is to secure possession, right? So now this is something that they will have to sort of grow into because of the way that they are so dynamic in the way that they play now, because the targets are not the same, because they're constantly happening on the hoof. So now you have to be much more stay present to the whole play. And I found that in the breakdown. When I watched it again and I was watching, it actually gave me joy to see that there is that opportunity for them to improve, because if they nail those and they retain that position, you saw it. There was a time where we counter-attacked and we kept the ball for more than 8 phases, and we had the All Blacks stretched. And then with that, we got rewarded with the penalties. That's the potential that this team has. Once they can start now really securing in terms of what role am I playing for that certain facet of play.
Well, just on that one particular thing, if you look back in the day, if you go back to Oz, they beat teams by a ruck-orientated game. Like they would make sure that they keep the ball, play through multiple phases, and through the structure, attacking structure, they would beat the opposition. The best sides that I've seen is the teams that can move the contact point the quickest. That they don't play the ruck game, they play the opportunities. If you think about Sunnyball with New Zealand, if you now think about where we're evolving towards of actually taking the hard yards, getting momentum, but when the opportunity presents itself, give the offload, move the contact point, because it's very hard for defense to set when there's no ruck.
Yeah.
And so from that perspective going forward, what is for me encouraging is that we are trying new things, we're evolving. What people do must understand as well, when you try to change things, your error rate will go up for a certain point, but then the error rate will come down, because then you get used to those kind of positions, the offload off the deck or offload in the tackle, so that the error rate will be there a bit more. And so from that perspective, I like the way we're evolving towards is moving contact point, trying to see the opportunities, shifting the defense, stretching the defense, and with that getting momentum. And for me, it's encouraging that we can always go back. We've got the we've got the team. We can play
There's always
the
a
kicking
backup
game,
plan.
but it feels like there is now we're evolving towards. In the past, it was you had one game plan and that's it. Now you've got the mauling, the tight game, the kicking game. Now we've got the attacking game and the counter-attacking game as well.
I think the one person will be frustrated, especially with those line-out losses, will be Tony Brown, because that's where you create all your launches. You don't get to actually target those players you wanted to target, because you know from the analysis that you have made, that they create those opportunities there. So it's really frustrating for the attack coach, but it's hard for attack to sort of get quickly in sync than defense, where defense is pretty much, these are the principles, everyone sticks to them. Talking about that defense, the Springboks outlasted that first 5 minutes when they were defending within their own 22. That is probably one of the better sets I've seen from this team in how everyone sort of got up, made the job. I mean, at that time, I think Siya caught the first one in the face, but he got up. You know, those are the kind of sort of characters now we're starting to pick up. And this Springbok side really does show that they really do care. I mean, to shut out New Zealand, it's scrambling.
Last thing I want to say is on the set piece, and definitely lineouts, with Ruan taking over. I mean, how many test matches does he have?
About
How many
4.
players? How many players is not available for selection? If you take Franco, you take Lewitt,
Yeah,
there's heaps of players that isn't available. RG you can put in there as well because he was making the calls too. So from that perspective, it's amazing to see the talent coming through and the guys taking ownership within those positions. And with time, we'll get better. And that's scary to think.
But that's kind of the point that I want to get to is that was very good.
yeah,
It was beating the All Blacks will always kind of evoke it was the perfect performance chat.
sure.
But there were areas that the box struggled a little bit, and it's scary to think that they'll get better and run in more. Schala, what does it take to beat the box at the moment? Surely there's a degree of luck involved, almost, to say, look, it's the All Blacks of 2015. You got to kind of play them on a day where they're not 100% sharp, and then maybe you've got a shot. Or is there something that you've seen over the past 4 weeks or 5 weeks with the 2 Australian tests, 2 All Black tests? I mean, what is the weakness?
For me, I felt with the 9-10 overs from the breakdown, New Zealand didn't take their chances. It comes down to that belief. Few players playing their first time, so understanding what and how you're supposed to react. At Ellis Park or Emirates Airline Park, we got shown how New Zealand can play from turnover, Kenneth Clark tries, over line outs and all of that. If you can pressure South Africa into a situation where now it has to be a massive thing. Your scrum has to be big because that's how South Africa exits. That's how South Africa gets penalties. That's how they get 22 entries into your half. The line out, you can win the line out. They're great scramblers. So it's going to be you can't take it for granted that if you mess up the line out, it doesn't really change much of the attack because we haven't seen it yet from that set piece. And I think another thing, you have to put pressure to the ones that sort of start off. You know that South Africa, they're going to kick at 9. That 9 has to be on the floor the whole game because he's the one who runs this game.
Yeah.
Day 10 has to be on the ground. There's players that you understand. And wherever Willie Leroux goes, you follow because that shows how much tempo they're going to be playing with and where they're going. So there is ways to beat South Africa.
From my perspective, if I look at what gives us energy, being physical, stuffing people up, and if we take the ball away, almost from that perspective, is trying to match them in set piece, make sure that we get a good scrum, good line out, and then from that perspective, kick the living crap out of that ball. Ball the living crap. Don't give them anything to tackle because the players are now moving towards a system where they want to play more.
Yeah.
And the thing is, what will be our biggest downfall? The belief that we can go score every time. And so from that is the biggest fear that I've got is we evolving to something. And we had it at Saracens where we wanted to play more. And then the team just kept on kicking. And then later on, because with your rush defense, you're like, I want to smash stuff, but they're not giving us anything to smash.
Yeah.
And a lot of times we lost against the bottom of the log, London Irish. And that particular game, they kicked every run you ran up to tackle the living crap out of them. Dink, 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 dink. Every time they didn't want the ball. And so from that perspective, that was so frustrating as a player. And after the game, you go, how do we lose this match?
Yeah.
And we just became impatient.
But that's the thing is, I mean, take nothing away from Argentina. I think, and I'll put myself squarely in the group here. Argentina, to me, is essentially a victory lap. But that is a dangerous game to start playing, especially with seeing what they did against the All Blacks, seeing what they did to Australia.
This is why I'm very happy at the setup that we have at the Springboks. By the fact that these players they find something to play for. The competition is a real thing in the Springboks. If you miss out on a test match, this could be your chance to be out of the squad, out of a squad that is we all talk about as being the generational squad that Springboks have ever had, right? So you don't want to miss out on that. Now you get given a chance to play against Argentina and you don't take it and you go there and you show a different attitude, I think could be your last tour ever or playing in that jersey. So they will have something to play for. I mean, Argentina it hasn't been easy for the Springboks when we play Argentina. Every time it's almost that expectations that we're supposed to give them big hidings and everything's supposed to work, and somehow Argentina always come up, right? So it's gonna be difficult for the Springboks to go there, but I think the Springbok side is onto something that they want to create something special about their team where the standards are maintained.
Before we get stuck into, sorry.
Well, just on Argentina, people forget they beat France at home. They beat New Zealand away from home. They lost one against Oz, but gave them a whipping. What's it,
67,
27. And they were semi-finalists in the World Cup, right?
Yeah.
So I mean, the perception that just gonna go there and have a couple of Malbecs and a nice piece of steak, that is not the reality. The reality is, at your own peril, underestimate, and they will hurt you. So for me,
there's a lot of egos have been bruised over there.
Yeah, 100%.
There's a lot of sleepless nights had as a result of the RGs.
So it's a time difference that you have to cover. Then it's a whole new place. The stadiums is different to ours. I mean, they
fanatic
they
with the
are
newspapers.
fanatic supporters. The newspapers fly everywhere. It's just it's an amazing place to go tour. But from a team perspective, one thing I do know, that's one thing Rassie is extremely hard on. And that is, firstly, staying humble and never underestimate the opposition. So he would go with the same intensity. And that you have to give to him. Irrelevant if you've lost a one, the intensity stays right there. Because it's not just the 23, but you need the help of the whole group. So you'll make sure that everyone's on it.
Talk to me about, before we get into what else is going on in the rugby world, standout performers over the past 2 weeks. Give me a player that you reckon really stepped up to the plate and got the job done.
DDA, man.
He was.
Damien Dialende has been doing what he does.
Yeah.
Standard 70% performances from him, but now this time he just was on 9. Just for me, it's that ability to shimmy shake and get yards. Or shimmy shake, a little pass.
So good on the ball.
Steal the ball off the ground, make a hard tackle, get up, fold, and especially for the pattern that as a defender who's playing at 12, you're going to go and chase because most of the players, you're the one who's sweeping behind them to go to the furthest ruck. So if he goes there, he causes mess, stealing ball. If not, then he has to make his tracks again to the far end. That work rate, he hasn't stopped, and it's been like this for the last 6 years. I thought he was special. I don't think he gets enough mentions. Yes, everyone will see the intercept and all of that, but I don't think he gets enough mentions. I think Damien has really shown how brilliant he is and what a great rugby player he is.
Schala?
It is so hard to focus on one player.
Yeah.
I mean, firstly, if you go back, what I saw in Oz is a team that's well prepared. So it's not just the 23, it's a squad. Then you rotate your whole squad for the next weekend against Oz, and you still put in a proper performance. So for everyone around the squad, it's not just a 1 to 23. But what is encouraging for me is guys, if you talk about guys that isn't getting mentioned, that just does their work the whole time without needing credit. a guy, for example, like France Malherbe,
Yeah.
a guy like Vincent that came off the bench, Ox. You can go through the whole pack. They are putting a performance week in and week out that is phenomenal. How do they get judged? On battle, how many times they get involved in battles, battle contributions, and it just looks like the team want to tackle, they want to ruck, and there's a unity within that team that is extremely special. So even I must say, for me, the bomb squad, a guy like Kwacha coming off,
Oh,
bringing
wow.
that energy, it's so underrated. It is just maybe it is rated. I don't
Yeah,
know,
yeah. I
because they're
mean,
getting-
everyone is talking about you have to have the 23, and it's a good thing that they're the ones who have shown up.
Yeah, here's a question that I can't get my mind around. On the first test match against South Africa, they had the opportunity, New Zealand had the opportunity to go match for match, 6-2 split, with Leonard Brown on the bench, or even start him. They
Yeah.
had guys that can play multiple positions. Why won't other coaches try something different?
I'll tell you why. When we were used to playing at Super Rugby, we tried to play that unicorn rugby that New Zealand play. How did that work out for South Africa? Only 3 championships over a few years of Super Rugby. You have to stay to your DNA. You have to know your strengths and you have to play towards them. They don't produce the same players. They don't have the same competition. I mean, if you think about, like, Tupovai had an outstanding tour.
Yeah,
But
very good.
as a 5 in South Africa, how many Tupovais do we have? You know, and then to see who else that we sort of produce, what intensity do you have in terms of your bench? I mean, Wallace Satiti, a youngster, was getting to start. Who else do they have on their bench? When you still got Sam Kane in the mix, is Artie Sevilla playing in the right position? You know, there's so much that South Africa has. I don't think it'll be blind for me to say for a coach to sort of copy another coach. I'm not saying copy, but or sort of try and match another coach. It means is that he's already in your head. You know what I mean? You have to come up with your plan to unlock him.
But you've seen the thing is what I don't understand, that they have seen how it works. To scrum, to put on a whole new pack, that is hard to explain to someone how that is.
Sort of affects the whole thing.
Yeah, because I mean, just that extra number that just puts it more effort into the scrum, because scrum isn't about individuals, it's about team. Now, if you've scrummed like with most back in the day when we were starting with focusing so hard on the scrums, we would scrum not against 8, you'll scrum against 10 or 11 or 12 or
Sure.
whatever. So from that perspective, I think if you don't want to change your DNA, surely you want to make sure then you create depth in your squad. Yes, you
Yeah.
will sacrifice a win here but the bigger picture, I guess, from other coaches should be is how do I create depth? How
Yeah.
do I, while I'm creating depth, I might not win all of it,
Yeah.
but I will make sure that over time, because the reality is we shouldn't fall in the trap just being rated number 1. Everything that Rassie does is building up to the next World Cup.
Yeah.
So should, I think, most coaches. Well, but the problem is they are fighting for their jobs.
Yeah.
Razor's under pressure. Joe Schmidt's under pressure.
Sure.
And so that makes it quite tricky when you
And they both teams, they're the teams, the both coaches find themselves with teams that are in transition where they've lost so many senior players. I mean, you think about the players that were there in last year's final for New Zealand, the Aaron Smiths, the Mwangas, the other players were injured, the Patrick Tupoluto, the Papali'is, and now the squad looks different. Now you bring on Papali'i in the second half. Now you bring on Bowden with Richie Mwanga. It looks like a different picture. So at the moment, they're just going through the toughest. We've been through this.
We've been there. We've seen the
We've
darkness.
seen this story.
We've been here. Schala, I want to pull you up on something you just said now. Scrumming against 10, scrumming against 11. Tell me that. Tell me that story.
You want to hear about this
I
one?
want to hear this story.
Vat hom grond toe, soos wat Don sal sê. I mean, Don coached us at the Bulls. and he's probably evolved and changed a couple of things. But the thing is, the guy is just so passionate about scrumming. I mean,
It goes a long way.
it goes a long way.
Saying we're going to take them into the deep waters. That's something you want your scrum coach to say.
Vat lawe toe, pal.
Yeah.
And that's the thing, is he brings that passion to the scrums. And there's a lot of coaches that focuses on it, but not in the way that Don focuses on it. And the way is, there's no scrumming machine anymore. It's gone. There's nothing. It's bone on bone, flesh on flesh. Off you go.
Yeah.
And so, but what is great, in the olden days, you would try to stuff up the living crap out of each other, and it will get heated. And when at the lines, there was a punch or 10 thrown. But in
Little
this,
training ground dust up.
Standard.
and that was standard every scrum session or mauling session. And this group, it does get heated, I guess, but it's always in a sense, okay, what did you do here? How can I learn from that? And so from that perspective, it is put your egos in a pocket and let's move forward for the team's sake. And so to explain to someone how can I put it, the pressure valve, it is just, if you haven't been there, I can't explain it. It's half past art in a scrum where I'm trying to keep my breath and try to breathe, but the pressure is just so much that you're like, oh, off you go.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, and the boys they are not angry at scrumming, but they love it and they've made it a passion. And so it's hard for a guy that's so excited to do one part of the.
Schala wanted Tony Brown before Tony Brown came.
Exactly.
I said to my wife, this is
the team you wanted to play
I
in.
wanted to play in. Not the kicking and chasing. I wanted
To
this
be in
team
this. I
it's
mean,
amazing.
the I could imagine, because with what he brought on to the field. So you think about, you've got two pivots now. So you got your 10 and 15. Now, when you put a forward who becomes part of the playmaking, how much more dynamic that sort of looks now. So I remember when Rusty used to try that at the Stormers, where you used to run the one sort of flank off the edge, and then on the other side, everyone else. And it's just, as part of that thing of becoming a much more dynamic side that is unpredictable, where you can really now stretch teams in so many ways, right? But it's funny with this team, when I look at it and I think to myself, where else can they take it to? What is the next level to go for them? For me, what I saw this weekend defensively, we're becoming that team that knows how to work with less numbers and when we have more numbers, instead of just one trick pony when it comes defensively. In terms of the reads that the guys started to make.
Oh, Jessica's unbelievable with that. Bro.
Yeah.
If you take, like, we would just rush. We rush a couple of times, Ellis pocket didn't work. They're a bit softer. Everything is for me about pictures.
Yeah.
And every time they change the picture on the defensive side. And so from that perspective, if you look at how we try to analyze when you analyze our defense, it must be hard to do that. And then if you take on top of that, how do you analyze? So I was thinking, when I watched the game, I was thinking, how do you analyze the Springboks? Every week they're changing positions. Guys, that is, let's say, if you refer to 2019, how many rotations did they have? If you analyze Ireland, they played 17 or 18 games in a row, the same players.
Yeah.
So it becomes quite, you can go back in time, and they did this move, and this is how Saxon runs it. And so it becomes easier to analyze. How do you analyze the box with last week Sasha played, this week Andre plays, a different nine? How do you do
I'm
that?
looking forward to seeing Money play. I think,
and he'll have a license.
And besides even just the license, to me is how he understands this play, because he is probably one of the most natural 10s when he comes onto the ball. You know, the way that he runs with the ball, the no look kick. Yes, everyone made a thing about it, but that is just him. That's what this opportunity of playing in this sort of mold sort of gives a player like a Money Lebok. I think a lot of people are going to be pleasantly surprised to what Money brings over with this Argentinian series.
Sorry, just on that, what is amazing, Bobs, when we play together and someone is on a hot form, or the team is on a hot form, it does so much for your own confidence. when you give the ball to someone and you know he's going to make
A little
meters
break,
or a
yeah.
break. And so I'm hoping that kind of thing will take Mani forward, because
Yeah.
there's we especially the South African public, and myself included, and a lot of us, we forget how good certain people are
Yeah.
as soon as someone
quickly.
else is good.
Quickly, yeah.
Yeah.
No, we like that. We like chewing gum, you know. If we lose the flavors, time for the next one.
That's the thing, is, and I mean, I wanna chewing gum, losing flavor. Jeez.
Well, no, it's true though.
But talk to me about Rassie again. I mean, cat amongst the pigeons. Willie Leroux not touring. Damien de Linden not touring. Chislin Colby not touring. Bongi Mbonambi not touring. Peter Steff not touring. Franz Maladaba not touring. Sasha not touring. Sasha Feinberg and Gomazulu, arguably the most spoken about rugby player in the world at the moment.
That's scary. That
Stay at home, buddy. Enjoy a week off before you join the
Well,
Stormers.
it is not a week off though.
Talk to me.
With
Yeah.
all those things,
Yeah.
you are on. You have a day or two. They're all getting together tomorrow night, on Wednesday, and so the training will be 100%. They're not going with.
Yeah.
But when you're not going with, it means
You're grinding.
You're grinding. You are things that you are focusing on. You're doing rehab. What is, once again, I can't not keep praising him. But what I do like is, with rotation, you build trust in your group. You build depth in your group. And what Rassie's doing is, look, so for example, Sasha, you played like a champ. Well done. Awesome work. I want to give these other guys. And from a play perspective, you want to play. But you know the cause is bigger than yourself. So, okay, fine. What can I work on? You get feedback from the coaching staff. Okay, I'll work on X, Y, and Z. Do that while we're away. And then I'll see you again in a couple of weeks. And so for me, that is the beauty of things, is actually the team dynamics is so healthy that they will give other guys a competition. And this is where it comes down to, the competition is healthy.
Yeah.
They would say, well done, Mani, go. Sasha would probably say, go knock
Knock it out the park.
it out of the park.
Don't knock it
But
on.
the confidence that you have in a player to say, the confidence you have in a
Dad
player to
jokes
say,
here.
hang out. Yeah, that's well said.
the for me, it's a reward. They're rewarding these players. I was looking at the minutes. I mean, Peter Steff, he hasn't missed a beat since the international season started. Damien is the same. Frans Malherbe keeps on. I think they're rewarding those players because it's almost saying, we know what we have in you. Well done. Now, stay fresh. Make sure that, because they are going to be sending clips. They are going to be sending, I was watching this. I think we should look at this. Why don't you look at this? Because, when we did that move, they are going to still be communicating and making sure that they stay connected, right? For me, rewarding players is the most important bit, because then there's no looking over your shoulder. No, I got dropped or that, because there's clarity, there's transparency on the whole chat. And then Money now gets a chance. When there's 2 10s on tour, know you're getting a game.
Your minutes.
You're getting a game, right? All those players who are over there, we're going to go to this Argentinian excursion now. They all know that they're definitely going to get some game time because of what and how the squad has been put up. That it comes down to that trust issue, to that trust thing. Because now as a player, you know that you are valued as a member in the squad, instead of just being the one who's cannon folder for everyone to run over you.
And you know what's funny is normally in the olden days, we're talking on Bobe's days.
So really old,
very old
Okay.
days. I don't know, you can maybe disagree or agree.
Yeah.
You would have one-on-ones.
Oh,
But
my
it
word.
was a one-on-one with a coach, maybe a manager sitting there, and you will have maybe another assistant coach having a chat. But it's just you with a coach. Rassie's way of doing it is he would put all 3 hookers there, and he would tell exactly what's
Where you
going on.
going?
So there is no illusion in the conversation, or there's always transparency.
Mm.
So from that perspective, how he manages that is quite unique to any other coach that I've experienced, because everybody knows where they stand. You
Yeah.
know where you're going to get off, where you're going to play, and what is the plan going forward. And once again, it's when you've got transparency, you've got a great group, egos, entitlement gone, then it's like, okay, fine, this is the place where I want to be. And I can bet you there is not one player that doesn't
Yeah.
want to be there.
Yeah. Yeah, you
100%.
kill that the corridor chat quickly because boys can talk on tour. If you're not playing and you know that you
Tell me a story. Tell me a story about corridor chat.
corridor chat. Or there's this one example. Maybe naming names won't help. But there's 3 wingers in the Springbok squad, and the coach told them both the same message. But then you know, like how fellas are. It's like, what did he say to you? This is what he said. Oh well, that sounds familiar. What did he say to you? Oh, that's what he said. Oh, okay. So there's a lot of coaches get found out, and especially you. It's a place where you can't BS people, because you spend every day with them. You understand. You can tell when a guy trusts you or doesn't trust you. I could imagine how the New Zealanders who were sitting on that bench were not brought in for that game, because your mindset as a player is that they thought that I could not change the result if they left me on the bench.
Schala, a number of players not going on tour. You mentioned a guy like Sasha. He's a youngster. He'll look to get better all the time. Another one on that list that particularly made me think about how his next 2 weeks are going to stack up is Frans Malherbe. What is Francie going to be doing for the next couple of days? Again, in camp, consummate professional. But he's hitting a farm somewhere in the next 2 weeks.
The little bit that I know of Francie, he would probably take a break, spend some time with the missus. Then he would probably go to the place he loves the most, the farm in the Karua. Probably have a braai or two and a refreshment of tea.
You won't be dehydrated, is what you're saying.
No, because I think he's quite old school and he enjoys life. And he deserves every cent of that. That guy just grafts and grafts. Doesn't get the credit. He just a machine, bro.
For me, especially like he doesn't mind a child, right? Doesn't mind a feed, and every year, I think the only thing that's gonna stop him is those pre-seasons.
That's my favorite
They
thing.
should put him in a box and let him go. But even if you take, what is amazing is, those last 30 minutes
Yeah,
is not curriculars, length of career
yeah,
that kills you. And what is good with the rotation is he knows he's playing 50 minutes most of the time, or 40 minutes, or 43 minutes. And that part of the body saves you a lot. And a guy like him, he just keeps on trotting on. And so the whole pack, if you look at the pack, yes, there's a lot of minutes.
sure.
Maybe like Peter Steff is
He has had lots.
Anonymity.
Cheslin Colby.
Yeah. So, the backs don't make so many contacts anyway.
Cheslin Colby, yeah.
Cheslin Colby's throwing into
He
line
does
outs nowadays.
everything.
He does absolutely everything.
How many locks have you set down in your life?
No, none.
Cheslin Colby.
And not who? Barrett.
He's even done. He's done lineouts too.
Yeah.
There's not a,
So he's
not a
doing
lot of
everything.
wingers that have put a Barrett down, I'll tell you that much.
my
Even
goodness.
the other two in the back line. Siya Kolisi, the worst kept secret in South African rugby. They decided to go out public with that this week. Saying
He's a national treasure.
national treasure back on the coast, back with the Sharks. Talk to me about the trip to France for him. Now he's gotten Owen Farrell out of Saracens, gotten him over to France, and then said, "Well, you're on your own now. Goodbye."
Probably salary went to look, from our perspective, it's glad he's experienced it. Good or bad, I think it's hard. Who makes a sacrifice when you go to France, or who makes a sacrifice when you travel and professional rugby player? It's the wife and the kids.
Yeah.
I mean, we have said this previously. In that 2019 World Cup, I only slept at home 15 days in my own bed in 8 months. So from that perspective, it was great for him to go, to experience something different, learn a new language, eat a couple of baguettes, have a bit of red wine. But for me, it is as our national captain, as a leader, and not just a leader of a team, leader in many other ways. The example he puts, the foundation he's created. I'm happy, so happy for him and Rachel to have the kids back and being back in South Africa, because essentially it is great for the players to go earn what they can earn abroad. But I want to watch Siya and a lot of the South Africans week in and week out, not on TV but live. And I hope
Yeah.
with going forward that would sort of bring the people back. But it's hard because rugby is only that long. You have to try some way maximize your earnings. And so from that perspective, it is great that he went. It's great that he came back. It's not great. It's amazing that he's back.
Yeah. Let me ask you this, Bobs. And I mean, answer it whichever way you want.
Ooh, this is tricky.
Do rugby players earn enough in their careers?
No.
You're never gonna earn enough. I think just life it's just so expensive. I mean, there's inflation. There's added family members as you grow older. Costs of other different things. Cost of living always rises. So you can never have enough. And it's sad to say that, but like it's for everyone. And this world is just a moving sort of target constantly. It's a moving post. But for me, from the Siya's perspective, we missed Siya in the country.
You really did miss having him week in, week out.
You can see it. You can see the influence that he has when he speaks after, and the things that he sort of highlights, the way that he carries himself, his foundation doing all the work that he does. And I mean, for the kids, it's not going to be a confusing year where you've studied in French, you went to Bishops, now you're probably back in Durban. You know, those kind of things. And you're right, the family sacrifices a lot. But for me, I think I'm happy that he scratched the itch, because we all players who play in South Africa, you feel like you need to travel, you need to go get to experience that. He scratched the itch. Come back home.
Scratch the itch. So Bob said players can't earn enough, right? That's why I only got married after his career, to make sure that with a prenup that he's got everything separate that he earned in rugby.
His
and then
kids
he says,
don't know.
Yeah,
His
no,
kids never know you as a rugby
100%.
player.
And what is amazing, and that's my conclusion towards Siya, is he is probably more loved than anyone in South Africa, any politician. Well, if he stands for president, he'll probably be elected.
So talking about like when you really know that you are like one of the most loved. First it was Nelson Mandela, and then there was Makhaya Ntini. So we went to a sevens tournament, 10s tournament down in George. The man just came down. We wanted him to come and help out. I was coaching the Kaiser Chiefs sevens or 10s or whatever, and he came to the wrong hotel. He was not booked in the hotel. They gave him a key and they gave him a room, and he went for breakfast. And I was like, okay, this is Makhaya Ntini. He was not booked at the hotel.
And
they
got
sorted him out with like a booking and everything.
But there's also, there's a lot of side things going on. You're wearing Siya Kolisi's shoes.
Yeah, why not?
Very nicely done.
Freedom of Movement is involved with Siya, with their foundation. Well, one thing we shouldn't not mention or should mention is on Sunday, Cheslin started his foundation.
Yep.
So for me, it's amazing that it's not just about the money. It is about actually giving back. This team is not about just about winning trophies, but it's about giving hope. And so it's great that you've got players that is actually putting back into our country. It's not always about what you can take, it's about what you can get back.
To my point about are players paid enough, the work that Siya has been able to do with the Kolisi Foundation, what Cheslin is doing, what a lot of other players are doing, a lot of guys don't want the limelight on their work in the communities and whatever the case may be. So a higher paycheck for players at the end of the day builds a higher profile, builds them into this kind of superhero status for a lot of kids that I feel like I kind of had when I grew up with players in the late 90s, early 2000s, and now we're back there with a guy like Bobs.
I feel like I didn't play for the Banana Boys. I played for the Sharks. So get over that.
Well, you played for every team that paid you the most.
Talking about playing for every team.
Highest bidder team.
You know, it's the worst thing about playing for so many teams, because everyone likes to start a group. So
your WhatsApp is off the chain.
Can you imagine these groups, like all players from all these unions? But for me, that giving back scenario that the Springboks do, I like that giving back because I saw something um, last week Thursday. I went to a press conference and I saw BJ Dixon
Yeah.
with Peter Steve Detroit having a coffee. And you could see that there was a time of like imparting knowledge, sharing a bit of that special time before a big Springbok test match over the weekend.
Yeah.
And I get onto the field at the warm-up. Vili Leroux is catching a ball for Apelele Fasi for his wiper kicks, which became quite poignant in the game. And for
Big
me,
word.
and so like, yeah, massive. I'm out here.
With his white pants.
And for me, that is what these players and the coaches talk about, that it's not about us, it's not just for us, it's for the country. And they are doing that. I mean, Makazole Mapimpi's foundation with the gender-based violence and the way that he has really put himself out there to really help out and put a bit of light into those things. It's brilliant. These players have really become the symbols that we want to see, the symbols that are there for our kids, the younger generation that is coming up.
And they go back to play for their province straight away.
And they back to playing for their province, which gets everyone excited. Currie Cup coming up on the weekend.
Currie Cup semi-finals and then the final. It's the oldest domestic, the old lady of rugby tournaments, and we'll get into that next week for the final. Gentlemen, 1 point of order before we wrap it up for episode 6. We've done fly halves, we've done scrum halves, we're in the midfield now. Bobs, talk to me about the greatest ever Springbok midfield pairing.
That is a proper call, that. He just wants to walk away from this one.
I'm sitting on the bench.
And I want to
Schala would have been in there.
I want to hear combinations. I'm talking Mario Schubert, David
Combos.
Barry back in the day.
Oof.
What the guys are doing now. Jacques Free, Jean de Villiers.
The Devet Maris was probably the first sort of defensive, hard line, hard players play together.
Aren't you going to bring in Jaapie Mulder and Pieter?
Jaapie Mulder, it's a pity. Jaapie played with Henny Leroux, who was normally a 10. So as a combo, there was not really combinations those days. I think the one combination that was competing those days was, look how far I take it, van Schalkwijk and
I thought you were going to say Donny Gerber.
No. I mean, for me, I thought Danny was one of the better outside centers. I think modern game rugby would have suited him because he was the kind of player who liked to be involved, not just pass the ball and get involved again. Best supporting runner, great rugby IQ. When it comes to the 12, I think for me...
Are you picking combos or are you picking best player?
I think I'm going to just... Jeepers, this is a hard one. Can I please...
Saying combos makes it easier.
I know it
do
does
whatever
make
you
it...
want.
But there was a
who was
combination.
Who was better? John de Villiers, Jock Free,
Yeah.
or Damien?
Jesse Lucanio.
Yeah.
Which one is better for me?
Yeah.
Jeepers. And Mosi was an outstanding outside center. The model of an outside center.
Take him off the hook here, Schala. What are
Please
your
take
thoughts?
No, definitely not. I'm going to let him hang dry.
loving this
I
simmer.
mean,
Yes,
I
he's letting
could
me
hang
simmer here.
so badly
He's
with
letting me simmer.
Malcolm, John, Bismarck. So this is all you, baby.
I'm going to go... Oh, not a combo. I'm going to go Damien. I think Damien sort of picks himself at 12. And outside, I'm going to go Lucanio.
Schala?
I agree with everything that's been said.
Look, Kanye had his
Okay, what
best.
was yours?
What is yours?
Honestly, picked on at the height of their form, I think Lucanio 2018-19 was the best player in the world by a country mile. But what Jess has been able to do in the current setup and the current group, and the fact that he's continuously so coachable.
Yeah.
And
Apart
got the
from a
most
short-
beautiful body of any rugby
Boy's
player
got a
ever.
rig on him. I don't mind saying it. But what he's been able to do Does that put him on a short list somewhere as one of the best Bok 13s? I'm quite happy with DDA and Lokanyo as the greatest ever midfield combo. I mean, I grew up on Jean de Villiers and Jacques Fourie.
Yeah. Proper
I thought you said
centers.
Gcobani Bobo earlier.
Nah,
You
nah.
are-
Nah, I'm saving him for best wins.
Yeah, exactly. You know, when someone it's like someone saying to you must go and play like in the front row, and then they take you, say go play
But you
lock.
are actually a flanker.
I know. I'm frustrated. You know what? You have to just find a way to hustle, and center was a hustle for me.
You
So
gotta
I
get
got
paid
in.
somehow, mate. You
I was
got
just
a
like,
family
yo,
to
they're gonna
sustain.
put me in the team somehow. I'm gonna get in the team. Jean and Jacques, their telepathy, the way that they played. I mean, there was some stuff that Jacques used to see out of the water and the timing that he used to get off Jean was just outstanding. Those two together. It was the funniest thing because when the Stormers and the Lions played against each other, as Jacques used to have his way.
And then you throw Franz Stein in there.
Franz Stein, special
player.
just like Franz Stein, I think guys like Franz Stein, Sasha, and Damien Willemse, we have to create another category for them.
We'll pick utility backs at some stage.
We have to create another because those three players, they've changed how we look at what a 10, 12, 15 player looks like.
Like Brent Russell.
I was about to say the original Brent Russell.
The original Brent.
What is beautiful about where we evolving towards is there was no space for Brent Russell back in the day.
Yeah.
Now there is. I think Russ is looking for the more complete rugby player, guys that can move and in and out different positions, like Jesse playing wing. I just think what is great is the knowledge of each position. You're not just an expert in inside centre or expert on fly or fullback. You need to know every position because if something happens with any kind of split we're doing, a 8-0 or a 6-2 or
I mean, the yellow
7-1.
cards and the red cards, they
Yeah.
make you adjust. So you need to have players who can adjust. So it's becoming a utilities game.
To me,
in a way.
it's
You
just-
are going to go on tour if you're a utility player.
That's the thing.
That's it.
There was a time when Damien Willemse started. I mean, you can't commit to a position. You just gotta go on.
You're
tour.
going on tour.
And he's original. I want to go on tour. Yeah.
Just put me in the group.
So
Flanker, wing, midfield.
can you scratch? Yes, sir. Where?
Gentlemen, thank you very much for pulling through. Schala, it's good to see you back and on your feet, running life, doing well. Bobs, thank you for pulling through as per usual, Mr. Consistent. That's been episode 6 of The Good and the Bad, The Rugby, South Africa. Remember to comment, like, subscribe. Wherever you get your podcast, that's where we will wait for you. From our side, for now, goodbye.